Hello and welcome back. It's been a minute. Today's tutorial is on this look from my TikTok on medium contrast makeup. So let's just jump right into it. Little disclaimer, I'm in completely different lighting. I'm in front of very bright lights, so it looks a little different than the TikTok, but it's the same exact look. Okay, let's start with blush. For blush, I'm using Armani Luminous Silk Cheek Tint. This is the shade 50.5. It's called Rosy Peach. Just a few dots is usually enough for me, and I always like to put it on my nose too. And then to blend it out, I'm using an hourglass. I'm pretty sure this is the powder brush, but I use this end and just blend this out. I love this blush because it's very sheer and it leaves like a very natural finish to it. I always love a good little nose blush. Sabrina Carpenter's makeup artist does this. She actually puts a little bit on the forehead and a little bit on the chin. She uses different shades, of course. I also have a tutorial on that on my TikTok and Instagram. She puts a little bit here and a little bit here just to tie the look together, and I tried it and it was immaculate. Before I start any eyeshadow, I always put a little bit of concealer on my eyelids as my base. I'm just using Tarte Shape Tape in the shade 20B. This really helps the eyeshadow blend and look pigmented. If you haven't tried it, please try it. It makes such a difference. When I forget to do this step, which is rare, I just can't blend my eyes as easily. I'm blending this with an hourglass concealer brush. I don't know what it is about the hourglass brushes, but they are just so nice. Very easy to blend and soft on the skin. If there was one brush to splurge on from Hourglass, I would definitely do there's cat hairs on it. I would definitely do the concealer brush because I feel like concealer is just a really big important part of my routine, and I always want the concealer to look as blended and smooth as possible. For the eyeshadow, I use NATASHA DENONA I Need a Nude palette. This palette is really beautiful. It's very easy to blend and it's just very pigmented, and the shimmers are very, very shimmery. This is probably one of the easiest palettes that I've been able to work with. I'm comparing it to like Makeup by Mario and Patrick Ta. I feel like this one really is like the icing on the cake. So with a big fluffy brush, this is the Morphe M441. I'm going into the shade called Beiges. This is going to be my first color that's just going to be pretty much around this outer part of my eye. Always make sure that your concealer is blended before you start, just to avoid any crease lines, because the eyeshadow will settle into the crease lines and we don't want that. I like to do like a lot of dabbing motions. I feel like when you're like roughly swiping it, it doesn't blend very easily and it leaves streaks and stuff. Light swiping motions are fine. I do it sometimes, but just don't do it too roughly. I'm essentially just patting this color in this area right here. Let's do this eye as well. I always just try to be as gentle as possible with my eye area. I like to kind of start from here and then take it all the way just a little bit to the outer corner of my eye. This is a smaller fluffy brush. This is Spectrum B06. And then I'm going to take the second shade. This is my transition shade, and I'm going to put this shade kind of like a little below this one. I'm going in with the shade called Tender. Oh, I forgot to say, but I always tap off the excess every time I pick up a little bit of shadow. I really tap this into this part of my eye right here. It's okay if it's a little messy and if you're like out of the area that I said, because we are going back with the previous brush and we're going to blend it to mix it all together. Going back to the previous brush, the Morphe M441, and I'm just going to lightly go over this area. I didn't add any other product over it. I just want to kind of blend and mix these together. Obviously, you can make this as dark as you want or as light as you want. It's all personal preference and just depends on the look that you're going for. This is going to be for the darkest color. I am using a Morphe M456 and I'm going into this color called Silhouette. Tap off the excess. This is really just going to go into this outer corner right here to add a little bit of like a smoky cat eye effect and add a lot of depth to your eye so it looks snatched. We will just pat, pat, pat into this area, repeating everything on this side, and then we will go back to that previous first brush and blend everything together again. Going back to our lovely, very fluffy blending brush, the Morphe M441, and we are just going to blend all of this together so that it looks nice and smooth. Moving on to eyeliner. This is the flat definer brush. It's by the brand Lexi Beauty. I don't know where I got this from, but I've been using it for a long time, so any flat definer brush like this one is fine. We're gonna go back into the color Silhouette. This part does not have to be perfect because we're gonna smoke it out. I just like to follow the outer corner of my very eye and go up like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just like that. We will blend this out and clean it up in a second. Repeating this step on the second eye. I kind of always do this part very messy. I just love that smoky eyeliner look. I'm taking this lovely little brush. I feel like this is just a tiny little dense fluffy brush, but this is the Spectrum B11, and we are going to blend out this eyeliner so it's smoky and we don't have any harsh lines. Just like this. You can always go back and darken this, make it more defined, whatever you want, whatever you like, whatever makes you happy. And I think this is probably everyone's favorite part. I am going in with the e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. I don't know, random brush. I've had it for a long time, and I always use it for sparkles and glitters and things like this. Going into the Shimmer Nade Sheen, and I'm putting this all over my inner eye area right here. Roughly following the crease line. It doesn't really have to be perfect, but this is very sparkly and super beautiful. If you saw my TikTok, it's very, very glittery and shimmery and dim lighting. And then I like to kind of take it to the eyelid and stop right about here because I want it to stay dark right there. You can apply as much or as little of this as you want, whatever makes you happy. These glitters are like a creamy formula, so it just glides on. I took some random blending brush. This is the Sigma Tapered Blending E40, and I just kind of very lightly blended this area just to make sure there isn't any harsh line right here in between the sparkles and the eyeshadow. I just want the transition to be easy and smooth. And I applied white eyeliner to my bottom waterline. This is by SHISEIDO, the micro ink eyeliners. They're very, very tiny, and it makes your life so easy when you want to put eyeliner in hard to reach areas like this. It glides on too, which is nice because I hate irritating my eyes when I can't get the eyeliner on it. For mascara, I used YSL Lash Clash. It's one of my favorite mascaras. It gives you volume as opposed to length. This is the difference if you're curious. Let's finish up and do this eye really fast. If you get mascara on your eyelids, just wait for it to dry and take a spoolie like this, and it'll flick right off once it's dry. Just make sure it's dry before you do it, otherwise when it's wet you'll spread the mascara and just create a big mess. Before I finish my base, I always like to take my concealer brush and just go against here to clean up and snatch it as natural as possible. Just like that. Let's do this side and blend all of this out. For lashes, I use House of Lashes Natalia, and I also use the House of Lashes glue. It's my favorite glue. I take the lash and I cut it into about 3/4, and I use the inner corner half. So I like to take tweezers to hold them. I have a mirror in my hand, kind of slightly look down and plop them onto my eye. I like to take my mirror and look at it on the top of the lash line and position it how I want it. I take this clampy tool, clamp it with Real and Fake Lash, and it makes such a difference because it blends them in together seamlessly to the point where you can't really tell if you're wearing falsies or not. Let's repeat everything on this side. I'm going to plop it onto my eye, look at it from above, and make sure it's where I want it to be. And we're going to take our clampy thing, blend these together. I feel like I talk a little way too low to be filming on YouTube. I'm going to take a brown eyeliner and apply it to the top waterline and take it all the way to the inner corners. I am using Huda Beauty in the shade Very Brown. This helps make sure that the lashes look as seamless as possible. Back to the flat definer brush from earlier, I am picking up Silhouette, applying this to the inner corner of my eyes. Just set my face in for bronzer. I am going in with YSL All Hours in the shade 02. It's also very pigmented for me, so I only go in with just very little. For blush, I am using Patrick Ta No. 3 brush, and this is the NATASHA DENONA My Mini Dream Glow Blush. Just mix these colors together and just tap, tap, tap here. And I like to go up my temples too, and a little bit on my nose. And then let's go back to the e.l.f. eyeshadow brush and the color Sheen. And we're going to apply this in the inner corner area and right here, just like this. Make it extra sparkly and shimmery. Then I went in with the NATASHA DENONA highlighter and did the same thing. I put it in the inner corners right here just to make it pop even more, because why not? We have one life, so I think we should sparkle and shine. And I also took this to the brow bones, underneath the wing. Under the wing, brow bone. Bottom mascara with YSL Lash Clash. I'm going to contour my lips roughly using Fenty Beauty in the shade Amber. Just makes them look bigger. And then remove the excess from the middle. And with whatever's left over on my bronzer brush, I'm just gonna lightly tap this in so it's a little bit more dry before I go in with my lip liner. As I use NATASHA DENONA, I need a nude lip crayon in the shade NP1 NATASHA. For lip gloss, we have e.l.f. lip oil in the shade Crystal Baller. It's very pretty, especially in flash. It's absolutely stunning. And for my moles, I like to use Urban Decay eyeliner in the color Demolition. And just slightly tap on. This is the finished look, and thank you for watching.